Welcome to the InStory Show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and today I am thrilled to welcome Joyce Lely. Hi, Joyce.
Hello, Devorah. I'm so glad to be here, and it's so nice to meet every one of you.
So before we dive in, I just want to give us a little directional focus. So Joyce is an artist and mindset mentor, and so we're going to dive into how do you tap into your creativity and find your force so that you can bring that out in the world. And it's really a lot of where we're going to go into today is really how to take that creativity and make that what you shine out in the world. And we're going to have a process that you're going to do that's going to help you actually get started right away in this interview. But as always, I like everyone to start a little bit with your story. I'm kind of on a mission to show all of my audience how you can look at your story to reveal your purpose. So Joyce, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what you were like when you were growing up and kind of how that led you both in and out of leading with your creativity.
Oh, this is lovely. Yes, I love to share this. So I am originally from Holland, a small country in Western Europe. Perhaps many of you know where it is. It's on the exact opposite side of the world from where I live now. I'm in New Zealand now. So my story starts in Holland, and I have always been a curious, creative kid. And I was always a maker of things. I love to draw. I love to make mud pies, sand, play in the sand pit, make things, but always making things that would make somebody happy or myself feel accomplished, I always was very much of a dreamer as well. I remember my parents always saying that I was floating on my own little cloud, full of dreams and creative ideas. I was very determined too, because I played with Barbie dolls, not so much to play with the dolls, but to make them new clothes. And there was this fashion thing that I had once seen with a halter line, and it was really difficult to create something with that, to put that over their head. So I found a way. I just pulled off their heads, put their new clothes on, and put the head back, things like that. I was always doing these weird, wacky things to make my dreams come true, really, to make my ideas into the world. So that's, I always started with creativity. Yes. And of course, like everybody else, it was always seen like cute and nice, but not really what you would be doing for a career. For a career, you want to pick something serious. So when I went to school, and the teachers and the parents were always saying, like, you've got a great set of brains, so you want to use them well. Yeah. And not just on a creative play thing. Yeah.
I think it's so common, and that's why I ask people to share it, is that this idea that who you really are can't be what you do in the world.
Yeah.
So exactly. What did you end up, what did they kind of push you to do?
Well, I was always sort of a people-pleasing character as well. I'd love to make my parents happy, and make them proud. I'm the oldest of two girls, and so I needed to set an example for my sister as well. And I could, I was okay in school with learning things, and the teachers were always, saying that I would do well going to, for instance, a certain, in primary school, it started like, go to this and this high school, this college, that would be good for you. And my parents always wanted the best for us. So they wanted us to study something that would make you a good living, and artists, they don't make a living, right? You're a starving artist, and you will only make money when you're dead, and things like that. So in college, the suggestion was that I would go to law school.
That's so funny. That's the first I've heard. Be super creative artists, and then they should go to law school.
Yeah. And I just felt that I got really rebellious as a teenager. I got so rebellious that I wanted to leave home, run away. You know, I sometimes had my suitcases packed under my bed, only to come home and my mom would have unpacked them again because she saw right through me. But you know, I started to become quite rebellious just because I couldn't be myself. There was one place where I could be myself, and that was in my art teacher's class. And he understood, and he gave me a really good suggestion. He said, why don't you go to this and this art academy and get a teaching degree on the side so that you can always teach and do what you love. But of course, my parents didn't want to send me to Amsterdam because that was too dangerous. They thought that was too dangerous. As I said, I'm the oldest one. So they were a little bit protective and perhaps overprotective of me. And they thought that I would walk right into all things bad. Yeah. So I was not allowed to go to that art academy. And I felt deserted and empty. And I didn't want to go to law school. I didn't go to law school either. I never did. But it started a life that started to be very much like a roller coaster, up and down and up and down and up and down. Yeah.
So what did you end up doing?
Oh, I did all kinds of odd jobs because, of course, I finished school and I didn't go to college. I was only able to take on simple jobs like reception work, but I'm a hard worker. I learned that, you know. So I ended up at one stage. I ended up in a dental practice where I worked as a receptionist to replace somebody that was on maternity leave, I think. And then one of the dentists asked me if I would want to be an assistant, a chair-side assistant. And I said, well, I've never done it before and I needed a job. So, you know, so I said, sure, I can learn, you know. And so I started a career as a dental chair-side assistant, yeah.
Well, okay, so how long did you do that for?
About 10 years. Which is way too long, yeah.
But see, the reason I ask is that it's so common that very creative, very spiritual, sensitive people were led to do work that somebody else said they thought you had to do to succeed. And of course, it's not satisfying, right? So at a certain point, you probably really got frustrated with that.
Yeah. So yes, working a job just for the money. And then, you know, my life in my heart, my soul, I felt like my life only started the moment I got home, because then I could do the things that I wanted to do, which meant that I stayed up really late at night to get all the creative juices out, really. And I started sleeping less and less. And basically that's, you know, you work yourself to a burnout that way. So that's also not a beneficial solution. So something had to change.
So what happened?
The big thing that I decided was to move away. I decided that there were a lot of factors, but I decided that there must be a better quality of life. So in the time that I worked, I made an income and I traveled a lot. And I saw so many other places in the world. And I decided that I wanted to live and be in a place with a better quality of life than the one that was happening in Europe. So I looked at a lot of different options, and eventually I immigrated to New Zealand. It's sort of an adventure and an unknown, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And, you know, I just took a leap of faith, really. I wanted to experience something that was new, that wasn't subscribed by anybody or expected by anybody. And a lot of my friends said, gosh, you know, you have a good life here. Why do you give everything up? You know, why? You know, everybody, yeah, there were only a few that said, wow, I wish I had your guts and was brave enough to leave everything behind and do something else, because I'm not really happy in what I'm doing either. So for me, I forced myself into a big change by moving away. Yeah. Mm.
So what launched you back into this whole world of being an artist and a mindset coach and really making a difference for others? You know, like because a lot of people, I think, sit back with those friends of yours who said, I wish I could do it, but they can't. And so I
Yeah.
like to try to also unpack a little bit about what helps, what helped you decide, like what helped you move, and like, is there something that helped you have the courage to do that, that you help others with now?
Yes. It's connecting to your inner force. I call it the force. I call it my force or somebody's force. Like they sometimes describe it, for instance, for women, if you know, if something is wrong with your child, you can suddenly lift up. If they're trapped under a car, you can suddenly lift up the car. If you need to run away, you suddenly can run faster, you know, all those kind of things. And I think that there is an extra superpower, an extra force that we can tap into if we find the connection. And I think you can find that through mindful mindset work. You know, if you find ways to really connect with your core being, and I don't know, I hear voice, I can hear voices, you know, I can connect to my inner self and have a conversation. And yeah, so sometimes I need and often I need my art to bring it out, because I start with a feeling, and I do a lot of art journaling, and then I start journaling, and then hidden things come out, or deeper layers of the experience that I'm feeling at that moment. They come forward, they start to show themselves. And perhaps not everybody that sees that the work will understand that, but I do, you know, and I feel the connection, and I get answers through working that way. And I have found that that works for a lot of people, and for some people in a different way. I mean, not everybody journals visually, you know. Other people write, other people make music, or other people perhaps start cooking a soup, you know. It's like, if you allow yourself time and open-mindedness to make those connections, then you can find so many answers within yourself, and bravery and guts and daring and all that you need. Your courage is there too. Yeah.
So I want to hear the earthquake story.
Okay.
Or
So
at least a small version of it.
yeah. Okay, so when I moved to New Zealand, there are two islands in New Zealand. There's a South Island and a North Island. It's very lightly populated, and the South Island is bigger and has less people. So we're about just 1 million people. I loved, you know, the scenery and everything. So that's where I settled, yeah, and try to blend into New Zealand society, and and the funny thing is that you can easily fall back into a trap, into the same habit, the same way of living, you know, because I felt I needed to adjust to the society that I came into. I started to take on normal jobs. I didn't have to in the beginning, you know, I didn't have to. I could have done anything, but I felt like I needed to be invisible and blend in. And so I fell into that same trap. And so I experienced that sort of feeling of unease and unsatisfactory kind of, you know, is that all there is to my life now, you know? So then I had 2 kids. I thought that was the answer, perhaps, you know. And life was pretty nice. And there were ideas, and I started to work on the ideas from within. Like, yes, I'm going to do this creative part now. I really, really want to. I felt that time, you know, I was in the zone, so to speak, you know, connected to my creative juices again. And I had these plans, and then the earthquakes happened. And they basically shook everything, you know, they shook the earth, but they also shook my life, and they broke so many things that we lost a lot of what we had, enough to have to start all over again, you know? And that was the real eye-opener, because it had taken all that time and all that experience to realize that why did I not just allow whatever was in my core there down. I always go like, it's here, It's here somewhere, you know. Why did I not connect with that earlier and just run with it, you know? Why did I resist that constantly, like trying to please others, trying to please a new society that I moved into, trying to blend in an invisible way? Why did I not just show my true colors that were bright and shiny within, you know? And so after the earthquakes, because it was such a big event, and I really had not much to lose after that, it was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything that doesn't make me happy anymore. I'm not going to take on any job just for the money. I'm not going to take on any work that doesn't make me happy, that I don't want to wake up for. So I created a new life, really, with whatever I had left, created a new life and made it so that for me, it doesn't matter now if it's a Monday or a Friday or a Sunday. You know, I love what I do, regardless of the day. I don't go like, oh, finally it's Friday. It's a Friday, it's good. Friday is good, Saturday is good, Monday is good too, you know. There's something nice in every day of my week, so it doesn't really matter. And that is what I love. I love doing what I do, and including the creativity in the work that I do locally and online. And that's just really, it just makes me happy. Yeah.
Which is such a wonderful thing. This is what we want to say to all of you who are watching. It's possible to turn what you love into your work. Yeah. Not everybody has to do that. It's not a requirement that you have to make money with your creative gift. I remember Elizabeth Gilbert finally talking about that. You don't always have to ask that of your creative gift, but you can.
Yeah.
It's amazing the crazy things we can do. So I love to give everybody in the interviews an experience. And so I asked you to create a little something that we could do with you during the interview. So maybe we can do that.
Okay. So this was a bit of a surprise. I've put together this real quick. I've just got a sheet of paper. Okay. And I put it on the board so I can do this while I'm sitting here. And I've got a bunch of colorful markers. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use, but I'll probably start just with a gray or blackish one, because I'll share with you the way I start unpacking. I describe it often. So you go through life and you carry a backpack, and on the way you put things in your backpack, right? Like a hunter-gatherer almost. You know, you have an experience and that fills some space in your backpack. By the end of the day or by the end of the week, you can carry so much stuff with you that it feels heavy. And it makes you struggle to move forward, you know? And that is when I start to work in my journals. And that is how I clean and unpack my baggage. The way I do it, I create journals and I fill them up. So here's one, for instance. This one is full. Yeah, this one is full, almost full. But by the time this one is full, I know the experiences that I have, that I'm keeping in here. So the moment that it's not that I'm going to read them every day, but I can look back. If I feel in a certain mood and I know that this holds certain experiences, then I can flip through the visuals. And just by looking at the visuals, I can go like, oh yeah, I remember. Okay, that's done. I know how to deal with this. This is how I dealt with it then. So, you know, you look at it and it goes fast. Mm-hmm. It goes fast in a way like that. So they're basically little boxes or containers or vessels that hold your treasures, that hold your experiences and the way you work through things. And the fact that I've worked through those things in a previous time doesn't mean that monster cannot come back up, you know? I call them my mindset monsters. So you see a monster come up in your way and you deal with it. Sometimes you need to be nice to it. Sometimes you need to be crushing it. Sometimes you need to fight it and battle it, and you know, and sometimes you just need to lock it up. And so depending on my experiences, I use these sheets and these things like so. When I have a blank page, and a lot of people that say like, oh yeah, but I'm not creative, so I always struggle with the blank page. Well, that's very easy. You just start with writing a few words. You know, you can write them. I usually write them this way. So I can say, for instance, gosh, there's not much that I'm worried about today, but okay. Let's say I'm worried about the state of the world that I sometimes carry. You know, I like to fix the world. I know that that's impossible, but sometimes if I see a lot of the world news, I can get very anxious about the things. So I can say, okay, it really bothers me, and I have more than one language, so I can write in different languages too. It really bothers me that blah, blah, blah. So I can just write like this into one big word, and I can go back and forth as well, that we have patriarchy. I'm not really fond of patriarchy. So I can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I will fill this whole page with just writing, scribbling, just a dump of my brain, whatever comes out, you know, something that is bothering you. It can be somebody that you met, you know, you might have had an encounter about with somebody and it really bothered you, and then you just write it out. So I'll give you a little bit of time to fill this little page. Okay, you can write your stuff into that. Or you can just do some big words like boo. Just like if you're really angry, you can just go bang, you know?
And so the first step, if they're writing the steps, is just a brain dump.
A brain dump. A brain dump of something that you want to loosen, that you want to get rid of. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so I'm doing it quite boldly here so you can see it. But so usually I just use a pencil or a pen, that the letters are not that thick, but it doesn't really matter. But otherwise you can't see it in the screen. So okay, so we've got this. Then what and these are the things that I don't want you to think about too long, right? I don't give myself time to ponder and think about what it is that I'm going to do. So then I think about a symbol and a color that makes me feel safe. You know, what is for me something that makes me feel safe? Then I'll just grab a color now from my pot, and I'll just draw that over the top. And you can do it in any direction. I just draw that over the top. So you don't think about it too long. Just grab a symbol, something that speaks to you, something that you like the look of visually, the shape. You can color it in. You can do it with markers. Markers are quick and easy. Cool. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
Cool. You don't have to show me yet. We'll take that after. Okay, then if you have another color, then I want you to grab another color, and I want you to add something that makes you happy. What makes you happy? If it's a word, that's cool too. You know, what makes you really, really happy? And you write that down. And then let's pick something. Oh, sorry, when you're ready. When you're ready.
Okay, good.
And then let's pick something. You pick another color, or you can pick the same color. You know, if you're more into similar colors, that's cool too. Then you pick another something that you would like, a dream that you have. What is a dream that you have? You know, do you have a dream? How would you show your dream, or how would you write your dream? You can just write it out if you want. You got it?
Yep.
Oh. And then we'll do a last one for this exercise. We'll do a last one. So how would you feel if you had your dream? Write that in a word, or in a symbol, or in a movement, like a shape, however you want to do that. You can, how would you feel if you had your dream? Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, I'll share with you what I've made. I made this. So it's not about it being a masterpiece, right? This is just about when for instance, if I put this on a pile and I go back on Sunday, for instance, if I feel a little bit down and I grab this, then I remember what I left there. Because now this thought that I've put here, I no longer need to carry in my backpack. That's really the whole point. The moment I put all these things, all these layers about this here, I no longer have to carry it with me. I don't have to worry about it. People worry about a lot of things that are extra baggage. You know, they worry about things they have no control over, about the weather, for instance. Nobody can change the weather, so you don't have to worry about what the weather is going to do. They worry about things that have happened. Well, you can't change that anymore, so that is, you know, irrelevant. They worry about what may happen in the future. Well, that hasn't happened yet, and there's so many possibilities that it's ridiculous to worry about that as well. So, you know, so try to lighten your load. It's all about trying to lighten your load. So your backpack is empty again and you can walk forward. You can make that move forward. And again, you know, I don't always keep all these things. In my journals, I usually use that as a bottom layer. And then I start to create. I give myself more time. I need more time for it. Then I create from this, because this will leave me with a feeling from where I can create an image. You know, I illustrate my life away, really. Yeah. So what have you made?
Okay, so I'll show you. And one other thought about it, what it made me think about is I transform those immediate worry things into something new. So I just have I didn't have very strong things to, it'll be a little hard to see. So what I went through was kind of feelings of worry and doubt and judging myself. And then I wrote down your steps, and So then when I had to write down a color that made me feel safe, it was this yellow, this sun is sunshine. It's been really beautiful lately. And then what made me happy, then it was my trees. All
Yes.
right, and the green of that. And then a dream I have is we were talking about Israel. I actually have a dream to move back to live in Israel one day, which then was like this sense of being whole, of feeling joy. And so what it did was it took me on this journey, kind of.
I know. Yeah.
Instead of,
It's like a story. Yeah.
right, exactly. And I've been thinking a lot about like what makes you, how do you move from being constricted to expanded? And that's what I feel like it did. Like the things that I worry about they make me feel kind of constricted, but you took me like step by step into a more expanded state.
Yeah.
Right. So that just, and so it wasn't even just the feeling of unpacking my backpack as much as transforming the weight of my backpack worries, so to speak, into my uplifted possibilities. And also to what, it's interesting because it like that step by step of like, well, what's something that makes you feel safe? So that's a start of getting out of that fear, worry, doubt, all that stuff. Like, how do you feel safe? And then a little bit past that is, how do you feel happy?
Yeah.
Right? What makes you, and then a little past that is, well, what's your dream? And then a little past that, well, how does that make you feel? So all of a sudden I'm in a new feeling state. So
exactly. Yeah. Well, so most of the work that I do is like that. It is working with and twisting it, flipping it over, just like a little pancake, flip it.
Yeah, it was fun. And it's fun because I'm not a visual artist. That's not my normal go-to mode of expression. So whenever I work with visual artists, I'm like, just scribble around, but it's fun because it pushes me a little bit out of my normal mode, because mine is always imagery in my head, and it's all it's words, it's imagery, but it's not necessarily, I don't tend to put it on a page. Just
do you not journal, like keep a journal, like if you're traveling? Well,
but
you could add a little
draw. I don't. I mean, I just don't generally, I don't need, it's not my,
no, it's not your thing. That's cool.
It's generally not my thing. I do a lot with imagery, and it's fun when I do imagery work with visual artists, because then they don't just write it, they make these pictures. And it's like, great.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So tell people a little bit about the free gift you have, and also everybody, if you did the process, then share it with us in the Facebook group, because this whole series is about coming out of hiding and daring to be seen.
Yes. And again, you don't need to be putting down masterpieces. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about enjoying the process and getting something out of that. Getting something out of that process. Just like Devorah just said, she's not a visual artist, but you did get something out of it, which is really, really cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. It really moved me. It moved my energetic state, right? So I love it.
I call it like that's the way I meditate, really, by allowing the time and allowing that to happen. So my gift is 5 fast focus formulas, which sounds perhaps maybe like a race car. It's not. The thing is that I'm a multi-passionate creative, and I work with other multi-passionate creative people. And the difficulty that creatives find is the focus, the keeping to the path that you're on, and not being distracted and falling off the edge of your path. So focus is a really important thing to keep in your mind, to keep in mind and to work on. And I've put together something that takes you in 5 steps to a habit that makes you focus more easily. So that is my gift. Yeah.
Wonderful. No, I saw it. It's really a super cool gift, and it gives you some day by day, step by step, and so that you can move forward. And that's really a big part of my goal, is to get us unstuck, like get us moving forward with this creative, unique passion that is part of every person. I think the world needs us to do this. Like, it's being asked.
I know the world needs us. Of course, the world needs us. Yeah.
So even if you've been stuck in the past, you're hearing stories of all of these amazing women who have moved through, and it's never too late.
No.
It's always possible. It's amazing what we can do.
Yeah.
So Joyce, as we're going to round up, leave us with a few last words of inspiration.
Last word of inspiration. Well, I just want to say, look behind me. I've got references to time. I have struggled with time a lot of the time. That's a little bit funny. Yeah. A lot of the time I've struggled with time. I have, I've learned to accept that time is always on your side. If you let it, if you believe that you can do it, then forget about the time. So it's never too late. It's never that you don't have enough time. It's never like you're too old, too young, too blah, 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 blah. It's always the right time. It's always the right time. If you want to change something in your life, if you want to finish a project, if you want to reach a dream, then today and any time that you decide is the right time to start. And that, yeah. And for me, I was thrown into the position that I had to just accept that, but not everybody needs to go through a life-changing, natural event like that. But, whatever happens, whatever shakes your life, just remember that it is always a good time to start working on your dream or working on your goal or your project or finishing it. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that so much. The summit's about is finally your turn, really, and that is the perfect message. It's really always your time. It's always a good time. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Well, Joyce, thank you so, so much. And everybody share what you made. And Joyce, thanks again. Love what you're up to.
Thank you for having me. And I really hope that it helps others to come out of their little corner as well. Yeah.
Me too. Come out of your little corner, right? And as I say to everybody in farewell, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Yeah. Bye, everybody.